Hello, brothers and sisters. Hey, thanks for joining me again today. I just came across a story today that I was not expecting to see. London's Metropolitan Police says officers will stop investigating controversial non crime hate incidents. After it was revealed Father Ted writer Graham Linehan faces no further action over anti trans tweets. It looks like the police in the UK are starting to feel the pressure from the general public. And some of these high profile missteps, like arresting Linehan for making a couple of tweets while he was in Arizona that were seen as anti trans, have caused a lot of blowback. I've always said this. I don't know why police are investigating something that is not a crime. For me, by definition, if it's a non crime, hate incident, the key thing there is non crime. Police shouldn't even be involved. Tell me if I'm wrong. Police, if they want to come do an investigation and chap my door and talk to me, they really need to be able to tell me what crime they're investigating and why they think I have information that could help them. And then I'll decide whether I want to help them. So this is good news, I think. Non crime hate incidents will no longer be investigated by the Met. Okay, so that's not all of British policing, but at least it's the Met. That's London, right? So that's a good start. You know, the devil's in the details. Let's see more. The Metropolitan Police have confirmed that they will no longer be investigating controversial non-crime hate incidents. They claim that the reason behind this was to provide a clearer direction for officers as the current situation was putting the force in an impossible situation. Yeah, no kidding, because what they were really doing was wasting resources when some Karen was offended by something and would do a report. They should immediately look at the report, and if it doesn't look like there's a crime, they should tell them, stop wasting my time, and maybe even investigate the Karen for wasting police time so that police can get back to burglaries and carjackings and such. Real crime. It comes just hours after Father Ted co-creator and gender-critical campaigner Graham Linehan said that he will face no further police action over anti-trans tweets that saw him arrested at the airport. Yeah, I did a stories on those tweets. You could make the claim that that was a joke. And even if it wasn't a joke, he was just saying, punch a guy in the balls if he's in the women's room with you and you make a fuss and no one's there to help you because it's a safety issue. And he was arrested for that as an anti-trans hate crime. So he was actually arrested. That wasn't just a non-crime incident. His arrest led to widespread criticism of the British police and how they are utilizing resources, including from Tesla and ex-CEO Elon Musk, who described Britain as a police state, and J.K. Rowling, who called the incident totalitarian. This is a good start, but what we really need is the public order laws and the hate speech laws tightened up. Because the way they're written right now, if anyone gets offended in any way, that you can use those laws and arrest someone for it. And the police can just arrest everyone and do their investigation and take hours and waste your time and censor you by doing that. And I think we just saw that yesterday with the Jewish man who was arrested for watching a protest go by with a politically and religiously charged symbol, the Star of David, on his neck. And I understand that the police have the power to not allow counter-protest in the name of order and safety, which is completely wrong. We need to push back on that law. We should be allowed to counter-protest. If the police cannot properly police it, then they're not fit for purpose. They need to stop hiring all the little girls, hire more big 6-foot men who can actually take care of business. If they're not fit for purpose to guarantee the safety of protesters, then we need new police. 100%. And both sides should be able to protest and counter-protest. There should be no reason why the police should be able to just say, nope, sorry, we're not going to allow counter-protest. So I get that that's what that was all about. They saw it as a counter-protest, and he was likely to antagonize Palestinians so as not to inflame the situation. They stopped him. Then it turns into just like Aston Villa, right? Anytime the police are worried that they can't control the situation, they can just ban protests, or they can just ban fans from going to a football match because they can't properly police it. That just tells me the police aren't fit for purpose when people are not free to go to a football match, or people are not free to walk down the street with their religious symbol around their neck, no matter what else is going on in the area. So that law, again, needs to be changed. But again, this is a good start. While Sir James cleverly said that the arrest of Mr. Linehan looked like a real real overreaction to what was self-evidently a joke. The Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick described the incident as a complete waste of police time. Yeah, I think both of those things are true. It's an overreaction and it was a police waste of time. I think they had like 5 armed officers arrest him. Was there not real villains they could have been out catching instead of getting a middle-aged comedian and writer at the airport who was flying in from America? And he's not even British. He's Irish. And his offense was committed in America. The whole thing is just crazy. The Met Police statement on Monday evening read, "We understand the concern around the case. The commissioner has been clear. He doesn't believe officers should be policing toxic culture war debates, with current laws and rules on inciting violence online leaving them in an impossible position." I agree with that part, but Mr. Rowley, you need to have your police use common sense and not overreach. And they do have a tendency to overreach. And they do have a tendency to go two-tier and enforce the laws against normal Britons who are just normally law-abiding citizens. If they in any way say anything that's offensive to migrants or Muslims or some other group that the left considers the victim class, then they get nicked. While the aforementioned victim class gets to go their merry way and say things like death to Israel and we're going to change Britain into an Islamic country, and that's all okay. As a result, the Met will no longer investigate non-crime hate incidents. We believe this will provide clear direction of officers, reduce ambiguity, and enable them to focus on matters that meet the threshold for criminal investigations. Good. Go back and do your actual job. Problem is they've hired a bunch of little girls that are only really fit to go and do Twitter crime, but we'll see. These incidents will still be recorded and used as valuable pieces of intelligence to establish potential patterns of behavior of criminality. We will continue to investigate and arrest those who commit hate crimes, allowing us to comply with statutory guidance while focusing our resources on criminality and public protection. Yeah, got to get rid of those hate crime laws because under the hate crime laws, you can arrest anyone for anything. A study by think tank Policy Exchange estimated that police wasted 68,000 hours on non-crime hate incidents every year, diverting them away from their core mission of fighting crime. Yeah, police are always complaining they're underfunded, under-resourced. Non-crime hate incidents were meant to allow intelligence to be gathered on incidents that did not reach the threshold of prosecution, particularly in cases of alleged racism, called wasting time. Whatever it is doesn't reach the level of an actual indictable offense, police shouldn't be dealing with it. But police use of them expanded to investigate complaints against someone who has lawfully expressed an opinion. Yep, it's an opinion somebody else didn't like. Somebody was offended and decided to report them, and the police wasted time with that. And it was a form of censorship by the government. Last month, Mr. Linehan, 57, was met by armed police when he touched down at Heathrow from Arizona in the U.S. and was detained on suspicion of inciting violence. The Irish comedy writer, who also co-wrote and directed sitcoms such as Black Books, The It Crowd, and Count Arthur Strong, was detained in relation to 3 tweets which police deemed to warrant an arrest on suspicion of inciting violence. The first was from April the 20th. It read, "If a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he's committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene. Call cops. If all else fails, punch him in the balls." 20 years ago, that would have been considered normal. If a biological male is in a women's only space like the toilet, you should make a fuss and do something because he's probably up to no good. So this is not an unreasonable thing to say. And you could also say it's a joke. He's come back later and said it was a joke. A second tweet from the 19th, so the day before, was a picture of a trans rally with the caption, "A photo you can smell." Now, I haven't seen that picture, so I don't know. I can't really comment on that. The third was a follow-up to this tweet, which said, "I hate them. Misogynists and homophobes, fuck them." In America, that would all just be free speech. He just said some things that people think are offensive and disagreeable, but that's his free speech. And yes, he has to face consequences in the public square for saying that, but he shouldn't be arrested for saying things that most people would think are just free speech. Now, I get it. If you're a trans person or a trans activist, you're offended. But so what? People are offended every day. Anything anyone says is likely to offend someone. I don't worry too much about it. I can't control what's going to offend you. I can't tell what you're going to be offended by. Today he posted on X, formerly Twitter. They got to stop saying the formerly Twitter. Just say X. or just say Twitter. The police have informed my lawyers that I face no further action in respect to the arrest at Heathrow in September. He should still sue them. I think he was saying he was going to sue them. He should. It was a wrongful arrest, 100%. After a successful hearing to get my bail conditions lifted, one which the police officer in charge of the case didn't even bother to attend, the Crown Prosecution Service has dropped the case. With the aid of the Free Speech Union, I still aim to hold the police accountable for what is only the latest attempt to silence and suppress gender-critical voices on behalf of dangerous and disturbed men. Okay, so he is still going to sue. A Crown Prosecution Service spokesperson said, following careful review of a file submitted by the Metropolitan Police, we've decided that no further action should be taken in relation to a man in his 50s who was arrested on 1 September. To me, it's crazy. Before sending armed officers to arrest him, somebody should have consulted the Crown Prosecution Service and said, hey, should we arrest this person for this? Are you going to bring this case? And now they're doing damage control. That's what should be happening, or else, again, it's a waste of police time to arrest people that are non-crimes. And how do you know if it's a non-crime in such a situation? You go ask the lawyers. That's why the Crown Prosecution Service exists. I am sure they could have consulted them and said, hey, we've got this evidence against Linehan. We want to arrest him. Should we go arrest him? And obviously somebody wrote up a warrant to go get him, right? Whoever approved all that should be called to account. Mr. Linehan, currently living across the Atlantic, later declared he would no longer want to return to Britain after his arrest was met with fury from high-profile figures such as Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who came to his support by branding the detention utterly deplorable. The writer was heard audibly fuming in disbelief when he was stopped by armed officers in a West London airport. He told them, I'm a fucking comedy writer. I wrote Father Ted. Are you a fucking idiot? It's just disgraceful. Yeah, this guy's arguably written two of the biggest comedies in the UK in the last 20 years. And he got done for a couple of tweets, and he's not even British, and he doesn't even live in Britain. So for all the nonsense I say on here, next time I come back to the UK, I expect the SAS to pick me up. So I need to make sure I've got cameras rolling. I've got to have my solicitor there when I land, everything. I'm sure they're going to be coming for me. But this is the kind of thing that Americans see. And I don't know, people in Britain are like, oh, you can't go to America. There's too many guns. People are going to get shot. Well, Americans feel the same way. We don't want to come to Britain because we're going to get done for something we said online. Or God forbid we're Jewish and have a cross of David land at Heathrow. Who knows how long we'll get. That last guy was held for like 10 hours and because he had a cross of David walking around in London near a protest. So here's the tweet that got him in trouble. If a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he's committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. A photo you can smell. I have no idea what that means, but it did say above that it was a trans rally. I can't tell. It just looks like a bunch of people. I don't really think there's anything wrong with that photo. And I think he was telling a joke. When told he was under arrest, Linehan shouted, holy shit, I don't fucking believe it. Do you know what this country looks like to America? Yep, I'm telling you right now what this country looks like to America. It is a totalitarian police state. If you're not a brown person or a Muslim or a migrant, the police are going to nick you for just about anything you do. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's how it looks. You can't even raise your own flag in your own country without being called a racist. I'll let you in on a little secret. If you can't raise your own colors in your own country, you are a conquered country. Come to America. There's American flags everywhere in America. My family, whenever they come, they always talk about that and say how great it is. There's so many patriotic Americans with so many American flags. Yeah, so Americans worry we'll be arrested if we come to the UK because of these insane laws. Americans really don't know what's illegal now in the UK because the laws are so crazy. He called the officers fucking bastards and shouted, how dare you, before they urged him to calm down. Shortly afterwards, Linehan can be heard saying, I'm fucking infuriated. You scumbags are working for fucking arseholes who go into women's toilets. Yeah, and people might say all of that is abusive and you shouldn't say it to police, but I believe in America and in the UK, it might not be nice to say such things, but the courts have ruled that the police acting under color of their authority as police and the government need to have thick skins and it might not be nice, but it's legal to swear at police. As long as you're not obstructing them, stop resisting arrest and stopping them from doing their jobs, you can swear at them. After his arrest, the writer claimed he was escorted to A&E because of the stress level nearly killed him, adding his blood pressure was recorded at over 200 millimeters by a nurse. Yeah, so I guess his blood pressure was up in an elevated, dangerous level. Conservative politicians also weighed in on the debate, with Kemi Badenoch saying last month she would free police to catch criminals again, as she said forces had focused too much on chasing tweets instead of thieves. 100% agree. I talk about this all the time on this channel. Sir Andy March, who leads the College of Policing, warned earlier this year that recording non-crime hate incidents had become a distraction, which is damaging public trust. Yeah, because all these hate incidents are all seen as two-tier because the police only go after white people saying this. And so somebody's going to say that's racist. No, it's not. It's two-tier because you're not going after the brown people who are saying from the river to the sea. That's just as bad as the things that they're arresting white folk for saying about migrants. I say arrest everybody. If it's a hate crime, arrest everybody. Now, again, I don't think you should have hate crimes, but as long as you have them, you need to evenly apply the law or it's two-tier. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing two-tier in the UK. Tell me if I'm wrong. Last time I saw, the number was something like 30 people arrested a day for something they said in social media. That's crazy. Can the police catch real criminals? I don't know how many more times I got to say that, but it looks like maybe they will. Even the police are starting to recognize that this is damaging public trust. While the Greater Manchester chief, Sir Stephen Watson, joined his call saying, it's easy to assume that we have some sort of weird fetish chasing stuff in social media. Frankly, we would really rather not if we can avoid it. Then stop doing it. We've been seeing it all over. I comment on this regular, the crazy stuff police get up to. In the context of things that are communicated online, people will accuse us sometimes of pursuing hurty words on the basis of somehow it is an attack on free speech. That's 100% what it is, Sir Stephen. He added, I do think it has become a distraction. It has become something that the public trouble themselves over, and particularly when they contrast are being seen to do things which they would argue are not matters for the police. And in certain examples, they're right. Contrast with some of our failures to do some of the basics, and that it really annoys people. Yeah. What's their response time to come after burglars? What's their response time to come after carjackers? How many of those crimes get solved? How many rapists have gone to jail? How many are walking free today? I'd love to see those numbers and compare them to how they're doing on hurty words. As of July this year, there were 133,000 non-hate crime incidents logged by police. That's somewhere on the order of 700 a day that police are wasting time on. Non-crime hate incidents are incidents do not count as crimes, but are perceived to be motivated by hatred towards certain characteristics such as race or gender. I think people are going to hate other people. It's a thing. I get it. But the police should not be involved unless somebody actually commits a criminal action. Just because you hate somebody doesn't mean the police should investigate it. So if you're calling a hate crime flying the Union Jack, the police should not be coming. If a hate crime is saying you want all migrants out of the country and back into wherever they came from, that shouldn't be a crime. That's somebody just saying something that they think. I call that free speech. Get rid of these hate crimes. But this is a good start. Let's stop wasting time with these non-crimes and get the police back to doing the real work. Part of that is the police need to be fit for purpose. If we've hired all these little girls that aren't fit to chase down a machete-wielding madman and all they're good for is doing those hate crimes, the DEI needs to stop. They should not be walking a beat. It's not safe for them. Have them go do back-end CSI type work, things that don't require them to apprehend real villains because they might get hurt. The police focus on real crime and build a force that's fit for purpose to fight real crime. Let me know what you think. If I got this right, if I got this wrong, tell me in the comments. If you like this, like and subscribe. And if you don't watch it. Thanks. Bye.